right, so today's video, we're going to be watching a Gold 2 support on PC playing Juno and Lifeweaver. Now, this one's an interesting one. So, you're going to be watching this VOD, and you're going to be wondering where the sound is. And that right now is what's going to be explained. And they say, I have an unusual request. I'm profoundly deaf and play the game with zero audio. I depend solely on visual cues, alt tracking in the game's captioning, but it definitely gets hectic at times that I ignore it for the most part. So just to give everybody an idea, I've set my volume to 0, and I also have my captions on right now. So captions are actually pretty good, even if you do have sound. Sometimes you might miss like a sound cue. I personally don't play with them. It was one of those things where I just was so used to like all the sounds of Overwatch that I kind of just didn't like have them on. But a lot of people do play with those, and they can actually kind of help you sometimes. Like, you know, sometimes you just miss that high noon. Those can be helpful. They say, I've hit low plat several times before in the past, but have constantly gotten kicked back into high gold where I've stayed stuck. I would like to know what I can improve on that doesn't involve team comms, as it's obviously useless for me, and the text chat can only go so far. I'm afraid that this might be a glass ceiling I can't get beyond. As for this game, I'm honestly not sure how we won it. It felt like we only won the first round because they C9'd at the very end. Second round, we did okay defensively at first, but then fell apart and couldn't recover. It was a struggle trying to keep the team up since the enemy team was dealing a lot of damage. I was also making a couple silly mistakes here and there, which I owe up to. Then, in the literal last 20 seconds, both my duo, the other support, and the enemy team's Wuyang disconnected at the same time due to a server error. Error. I say like different ways. Error feels like I'm just like, hey, welcome to the new era or something. Okay, anyway. Despite this, we still somehow won. I feel like the DC was just bad timing that caused us to clinch victory while in overtime. Now, for my unusual request, and this goes back to what I was just saying, chat, it may or may not be helpful for you to watch this game without any game audio to get into that mindset, or my mindset. Up to you. Would love honest feedback and thoughts on how to improve my no audio gameplay. So chat, listen, I've done a lot of spectating, so we're gonna do this. We'll probably put some background music on or something during it too. There's gonna be no sound on this. I'm gonna go from that perspective. I'm not gonna have my headset on, and I'll give feedback based off of what I see. Okay, sound good? Let's do this, chat. It's gonna be interesting because, like I said, there's no sound. Yep. So here we go. I don't mind the speed ring there. I do want to point out with speed rings though. And again, I'm going to give you advice based off of everything. I do want to figure this part out. So this speed ring right here, right? I want you to think about more having the speed ring here, because this is where the choke is going to happen. Right here. See the choke right here? Right? That's how it's going to happen. Or how they're going to battle. So what you want to do is you want to speed ring this. You want to speed ring basically either to disengage from their Rhine or to engage their Rhine, not have it be there. Oh, without it's not. I know, that's why it's like such an interesting perspective to it. So it's gonna be something. So yeah, anyway, I just wanted to point out that the speed ring there could be used more effectively at the choke. This goes for any rank, any situation, all of that. So how much you rely on sounds? Yes, that's what I'm trying to look at. Like, I'm trying to also pay attention to the captions a little bit, but I also need to pay attention to the team fight. There's the speed ring. You're trying to help with the disengage. That's the correct play there. It really is like such an interesting perspective, because like I'm watching this and I'm like, damn, like this is. It's like I'm trying to look for like cues and stuff. So far, I mean, you're doing everything fine. I'm sorry, I was getting confused on what side I'm watching, because sometimes okay, we're good. The kill feed will like be opposite. So like right now it shows the blue limbs, but it's actually technically Catnap's team here. Overall, that was not an awful push, I would say. Right? Like, I wouldn't say that was a terrible push by your team. I felt like you played it pretty efficiently. You don't, just to make it clear, you don't have to go through this way to throw a speed ring at your teammates. I want you to be a little bit wary of taking this part right here. So when you go to this side, right? Like when you go this side by yourself and you gotta like just do a speed ring here, do you see, like you could have just done it from here and been safe. So no reason to kind of rotate around this way. Okay, let's go back here. They do use subtitles, yes. They brought up that they use the captioning system in game, but said that like sometimes it's just hard to like keep up with like keep up with that stuff, right? Well, he got like what, promoted events, so he's very busy nowadays, right? There's your Rhine. Your Pathin's fine there. I just want you to be careful of like engaging the Reinhardt like really early there. But you're fine. Everything's good. So far, you're like, the truth is, I don't really feel like they're playing like inherently bad right now. Yes, just to give context again for anybody like just joining us for this specific VOD. If you have no sound, that is why they're going there. Again, there might be ways that they have, like, different ways on that type of stuff. I don't know fully how that stuff works, so I can't comment. But yeah, basically, they play with no sound at all, and I'm kind of given the feedback from the perspective of no sound, which I thought would be kind of a cool, different approach. I know it's a little bit different at first, right? So on YouTube, there'll probably be we'll put some background stuff there, but you know what I mean? Like, I do like the ultimate here. Sorry, I haven't been as, like, truthfully, I haven't really been as helpful as I can be right now, because so far I feel like you've played a pretty solid Juno. You're putting yourself in good positions. You're backing away on, like, certain spots. Like so far it's been pretty solid. Like, it hasn't been, like, the worst is what I'm getting at. Now I will admit, like, in that situation, just be really wary of kind of not looking at your Rhine for a while. Like, there is going to be a time where you, like, don't heal your teammate, but I do think keeping your Rhine alive there could make that team fight very interesting, considering that their Rhine's being aggressive on your side. So I don't mind you going for the Rhine, but once you realize you can't get the kill, like, make sure to pay attention to your teammates. I think that can be, like, super helpful. You wish they used more pings? I could give that advice, yeah. I mean, the ping system is important, so it definitely can be. Can definitely be worth it. I mean, I saw a ping used right there, but yeah. Okay, so here, this is where it gets interesting. Yeah, I was gonna say, dude, I'll be honest with you, I was just gonna pause that and basically talk about speed ringing around here to help your Rhine engage their team, and that's what you did. I gotta be honest with, and maybe I'm just like, because I'm just like, it's so much happening with, like, the no sound right now. The one thing I will say about this is, it feels like this has been played fairly well. Like, straight up. Like, I feel like there hasn't been a lot I've had to say. The only thing that I've seen issue-wise is pathin'. Now, you've probably heard me, for anybody wondering, you're probably hearing me use the terminology pathin' a lot more now. Basically what that means is the way do you get to somewhere. It's like, it's the difference between if you want to get to here, you go here, right? Or you go, like, here to be safe. But sometimes players will go like this, and that's their pathin'. The point is you're going, like, you're taking safe routes, you're going for good position. And so the only thing, one of the issues I've seen with the Juno so far is sometimes the pathin's a little bit off. So, like, for example, back here, remember when the Rhine was, like, here and charged here? The Juno went this way to where, like, you're susceptible to getting shot this way rather than kind of, like, rotating at angles here. It wasn't a huge deal and, like, wasn't, like, make or break, but things like that can be fixed pretty easily. It can be very helpful, too. It's the difference between getting headshot by a Widow and not being headshot by a Widow. So keep up your Rhine as much as you can. Obviously, you have a Genji on you in the back line there. Now, I think that might be where it gets a little bit confusing. The one thing I will say is the reason why I knew a Genji was on you, because I saw the Genji dash to your right. So even with, like, the sound not being there, the Genji was, you could see the Genji did that, but I could see where it could be difficult to kind of, like, know they're there, I guess you could say. It was the Genji. You could see the Genji go to the right-hand side for, like, a moment, and that's how I knew the Genji was there. Careful with the Juno, like, right clicks there when you're going around. I know that's enticing, but a lot of the time they have kind of a lot of natural cover on that part of the map where you just kind of waste the cooldown, but it's not like a huge deal because it's a pretty quick cooldown. Unlucky for your Rhine. Get this right click off if you can. They still might get you. Best thing you can do is just try to speed ring away or run away. Looks like your teammate does get a kill. So, yeah, you're being aggressive with your right clicks. You're trying to help your Reaper there. I do like you waiting to heal the Reaper rather than right click. I guess you could, in theory, just let go of the right click and then start healing your Reaper in time, but either way, there's the nano. And this is kind of like, that's a situation where obviously the subtitles will be helpful. Like, you can see that the Rhine voice line. I have a feeling one of the hardest things to get used to is the voice lines of what's an ultimate and what's not. Like, so for example, I think that was the voice line basically saying that Rhine was nanoed, but, like, it didn't look like it tells you directly that Rhine's nanoed. Is there a way to make it do that, or is that just, like, how it works? That's the part I'm trying to figure out when I look at subtitles, if there's a way it tells you it's an ultimate, just that it's glowing. Yeah, but, like, I'm saying, like, the voice line itself. Like, I know the voice line, but if you don't know the voice lines, then maybe you won't. But maybe it's good to kind of, like, know which ones mean that they're being nanoed. Obviously, if there's a Rhine that's in front of you and is all lit up, you know. I would use your Juno ultimate right where kind of your Winston is, right around here. But you can wait. I want to... This is a tough one, yeah. Kill the Rhine, save your ultimate, and then use it if they all retake this. A little bit of a tip for Junos. Sometimes when there's an Ana alive and you don't know if you want to use your ultimate yet, it's okay to kind of try to bait out the Ana grenade first before using your ultimate, because Juno ultimate is, and I've seen people say it's solid, so I do believe there's ways to use it, like, more effectively than even I use it. But you don't want it to get honor-grenaded. So just something to keep note of when you're playing Juno in general is basically, you know, try to bait out a cooldown or two before you use it so you don't lose all that value. Murphy, thank you for the 16 months of the tier 1. Thank you, appreciate it. Thanks. Can I be honest with you? I would have gotten rolled by that tire too. I did not. That's got to be that's got to be the toughest one. I imagine Junkrat tire there has got to be the toughest one. Like, listen, even if you know that it's happening, I would have had the same reaction. I would have been, oh, there was a tire? I had no clue. So yeah, and that's probably where like you'll have moments like that. But like, I just want to kind of point out, I do think that if you mentioned about like the glass ceiling aspect of this. Maybe this is just me. Like maybe this is just me that I've seen so far. I think you can absolutely climb. I actually think that you've actually developed really good positioning so far in this, and that it's a couple of like pathing issues and like a couple of just like small decisions. I actually think you should be able to climb. I think that what's going to have to happen that's going to help you more is finding ways to position yourself that is more of the safe positioning, right? And what I mean by that is sometimes you can play a little bit more aggressive, but I think what will be beneficial is kind of opting for like this type of positioning where you go when your team goes in, but you're not stacked on them, so you have full vision of what they're doing, so you have more of an opportunity to kind of react to what they're doing. It's not bad positioning, by the way. You can do this even in pro play, right? You don't need to always play aggressive. Like, you have different sets of play styles. There's with your team, there's a little bit further back from your team, there's sometimes ahead of your team. So I think that type of positioning can benefit greatly because you're going to still have vision of what's in front of you. And if you get flanked or killed by something, like, sometimes that's just also a good play, right? They still might even get you with sound on at that point. So there it is. I can see why it's a little bit difficult with the subtitles. I imagine you can make the subtitles probably larger or something. I didn't look at the exact settings on it, but like I can see where it's difficult to keep track with that. Like I haven't even had time to really, like I haven't had time to look at it much. Like I know Ryan just shattered, big slam, right? Big slam, but like, yeah, you can probably like, yeah, make the size a little bit like larger on that. So that's cool to know at least. Yeah, I mean, honestly, that was a pretty solid half. A couple Juno rings that you used a little bit early. Ultimate seemed fine. Like I actually believe that you are going to be able to, maybe I'm losing it, but like, I feel like you can climb. I actually think this is the opposite of like what you're thinking your gameplay is like, where you kind of mentioned that you just feel like you've hit like a ceiling. And I think you have a lot to go with here. Like I actually, so far from what I've seen, let's see what the defense is like, but so far, like I truly believe that like you're playing pretty well. All things considered, like playing with no sound can be difficult in a game with, like you said, Overwatch. It has a lot of really good audio cues. Like chat knows this, I'm very audio cue heavy when I play this game. To the point where it actually frustrates me when like you play against a hero like Echo, where you can't even hear Echo and you're just like, dude, what the heck? So like, I can't even begin to imagine sometimes. Yeah, I was wondering that too. I'm like, maybe there's a world where they can like try to give more information on that rather than just the voice line of like put like a nano and like a bracket or something, kind of like they do with the other stuff. I don't know if that'd be too much info, but like I feel like that'd be super helpful if like that was there. You know what I mean? You said this is assuming they don't always cancel the home and shots. Wait, do you do that all the time? Yeah, it is recommended to let your home and shots hit. You talk? Yeah, the right click. Yes, it's recommended to let that hit. If anybody needed that tip, I got you. You're good. So far, I mean, yeah, dude, I'm actually like, I'm impressed. I feel like I didn't know what to expect going into this VOD because, like I said, like the no sound cues can be really difficult. But I actually think it might have helped the Juno's position in a lot, chat. Like I really feel like it's because you're like you have to be like so much more aware of everything that's happening that like it almost puts you in spots that you would normally go to. Like you play with like vision in front of you a lot of the time. You're constantly trying to keep up heals and damage. You recognize speed rings for the most part, a couple early ones, but like overall, you're playing a really solid Juno. Like, it may, you know, if there's, of course, per usual, chat. If you ever have any, like, I'll pause now. I mention this in occasional videos now. I am totally okay if you have different perspectives on how to play a hero, things that could be better in the spectatings. Again, with spectatings, it's about, you know, entertaining y'all, give you some good advice. But also, I don't want to like be like, no, this is the exact way to do it. If you have different perspectives, as long as you're within reason in the comments, go for it. Listen, The more help, the better, because that means everybody gets better at the game. That's the fun part for me. I love the possibility of people just getting better and like being able to learn and like get better at stuff. Because when I growing up, I always wanted to get better at games. I'm like, this is cool. So I'm always okay with that. Again, I might miss things. You might have different perspectives, and sometimes that can also help develop more play styles. So just wanted to point that out. Okay, anyway. But so far, what I'm saying is like it's been pretty solid. Because like even here, I love that the angle's being taken. Like to give you an idea, chat. Like sometimes I'll find that people like the Juno will be up here. What makes this such a good play by Juno is that you have different angles they have to worry about, right? So like your Reaper's here, they have to worry about the Reaper. Your Orisa's back here, just having an absolute blast against the Rhine. Your teammate's up here dealing with a blade, and then the Juno's over here. Like there's so many spots that you're at. This is like solid position. This is why angles are so important, because you need to basically pull pressure away. And try to have them look at different angles. Like right there, you gave an escape to your Mercy. Like now you're in a spot where the blade happens. You've now gone away the other way. I don't mind this ultimate. It might not save your teammates in the way that you think it does, because you got to go the opposite direction with it. But it was fine. What I will say about that Juno ultimate is I get what you were trying to do, but I also want you to think about the pace of the Juno ultimate. It's a little bit slow. So if your reaction there was to out towards your Mercy to save them, I think it's more on your Mercy to fly to you than on you to use your ultimate towards the Mercy. Does that make sense? So I think like for the future, that would be a good way to go about it. Yeah, try to put your ultimate more aggressively towards them and then let your Mercy fly to you for survivability rather than try to save your ultimate, because it's so slow it won't get to them in time. There we go, sorry. I lost track of what I was trying to say, but it makes sense. I don't mind you being here, but you should look to rotate out soon. And the reason why I want you to rotate out soon, even though I talked about angles, is eventually if this Rhine gets here, you're gonna get stuck and you're in this weird spot. It kind of is working, but eventually, if that Rhine shield gets in the way, yeah, there you go. Do you see how, this is what I was saying, chat. Do you see how the Juno rotates now? This is why, like, I knew this was gonna happen, and now the rotation may or may not work, right? There's gonna be moments where that just doesn't work and your teammates fall over. But that's why I wanted you to rotate a little bit sooner, because I knew that they were gonna be able to block that off with the Rhine shield. Even though I just talked about angles, I feel like when you're on Juno and they have a Rhine in that specific situation, the moment that the Rhine's able to block the heals, you're just not going to get any value. Obviously, right there, they just kind of grinded you down. Not really on you. It's actually really intense. Like, I can see why this could be like super difficult. Yeah. But I think it's actually made the awareness of this Juno player really, really like solid. I really think like I hope that one thing that that catnap takes away from this review, right? That takes away from this review is that do not feel like discouraged with this, because I do believe that you can absolutely climb. You have a lot of really good habits. And if you need to hear that, I am totally fine saying that. You have really good habits already that will allow you to climb. In my opinion. And if people disagree with me, fine. But like I've seen some really good stuff. Some good positioning. You're constant, like even here, like small rotations of the high ground here to know not to be on the low ground. Like this is good. Like these are good habits. Okay, so in this situation, I want to. This is something I want players to start to understand here on Hollywood. I want to teach y'all. And by the way, we are doing a map video probably in the next month or two. We'll see how the new stuff is, so I can kind of like dictate that. But I want to kind of show you something here that a lot of players don't take advantage of. When you're in this situation on Hollywood and there's a lot of time left here, do not be afraid to rotate up to this high ground and retake the high ground. Now, first of all, surprise Bastion. But like, I'm talking like 5-6 seconds prior. Don't be afraid to like rotate up here and start to dominate and take high ground. Because if you go up here, you can pressure the Ana, right? You can start to heal your teammates. You can always rotate off. I feel like sometimes players here, right? I feel like sometimes players here will kind of leave you in a, like, they just don't want to take the high ground here and end up getting kind of dominated because they take all the map control from you. So in a situation here where, like, just to give you an idea, and why I'm bringing this up is, this goes back to, like, not having the audio cues. One thing that I noticed when you were there, that there was no pressure from the high ground top right, which means that area is available, or it will be a surprise if you flank. So in these situations where you're kind of in like this neutral standstill, maybe go establish a little bit more high ground above them and take advantage of that, right? You might get a free kill on Ana, like the Ana's right there. This Bastion's my only concern, but like, I don't think this is the only concern, because obviously the sound cue of the elevator might be missing. So like, what I would say is if you go up here and you pressure Ana, what you're gonna have to do is scan. Look at Ana, look this way. Kind of like always keep an eye on this. That's the one thing about extra awareness you're probably going to have here because of that. But watch this. Like, watch the elevator on that one. But, like, this goes for anybody in any rank, sound or no sound on this one. Taking the high ground here when it's available is so important. I'm telling you. And I have been very, like, I've been pretty chill on talking about high grounds in a lot of ranks because I understand that you're not going to get the same value in, let's say, bronze in rank. But Hollywood's a map where you don't even need to control this for too long. You just need to know you don't have to worry about it, right? It's not even about sitting up here the whole time. It's more about just knowing it's not an issue to have to worry about. Anytime I control, and chat for callouts, by the way, if you ever want to know the callouts that are easy here, because sometimes it can be confusing about high ground, blue, red. This is what the callouts kind of used to be. See the general store? It's like red here, kind of. Obviously, so it can be different for some people, but like this is red here, and this is blue. So if you need like easy callouts for this map, you just call it red, call this blue. And that now it's an easier way for your teammates to understand where those spots are. I actually still think Overwatch could benefit from like a mini-map overhead. Let me rephrase that. Not a mini-map in-game, but a mini-map or like a map overview for people in-game so that you can actually like have like call-outs in-game that people understand. I think that'd be really helpful one day. Maybe one day I can just do it. Sit down and come up with some generic call-outs, put them on like a picture, and then just like maybe it becomes more of an Overwatch terminology. Maybe that'd be a good idea one day. Anyway, so back to here. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, in some games, there's massive amount of like standardized callouts. Exactly, like someone brought up like banana. Yeah, exactly, man. Like a lot of games, like you know a spot no matter what rank you're in, what level you play at, because it's just like so default to be called that. Maybe one day we need to sit down and do some. Maybe come up with some like very generic like names for that stuff, so people, if they ever choose to, can start calling that. And it becomes more of a norm for everybody. It could probably help a lot, actually. Yeah. We have 30 maps. Yeah, I think it would be something I'd have to do like very slowly, and I don't even know if I will. Maybe somebody will do it, but yeah, it'd be kind of cool to have. Yeah. Yeah, there's some cool ideas there. Maybe it's a feedback I can give to Blizzard one day that it might be nice to have like some generic callouts just so it can help the player base in general get better at being able to call out like parts of the map, and maybe it becomes easier to go to spots rather than, oh, go right there, let's go over here. You know what I mean? So, you know. Yeah, like on Ilios, yeah, you make a good example, like the cage side, like it's technically like a fence, but everybody calls it cage in top 500. So far, by the way, there's nothing that I really have to comment on this third point. One, because I missed half of it. Two, because your teammates have been getting kind of snowballed, which means that you're doing the right play trying to survive, but you also need to make sure that like you do not die here. I want to reiterate, chat, if you're in this spot, so many people try to fight this 2v5, just survive. If you just fall over here as a team, which is what's happening, you're just going to lose the point, and you won't have any time, so... Yep. Oh, I know which one you're talking about. Don't worry. No sound, because the player requested that the review, if it's possible to have no sound, because they are deaf. So they wanted a bit more of feedback and a review on how it, from their perspective. And I was like, yeah, sure, that's something different. I know it could be different for a lot of us at this one. So I know it's a little bit, you know, it's definitely silent. Don't get me wrong. If you're wondering if it's a quiet game right now, it absolutely is. Yes. But yeah, just to give you an idea, you didn't do much wrong there on third. That was a team effort. Everybody kind of just didn't do anything. You all just kind of agreed to snowball. Snowball is basically where you just don't ever reset, and that's what happens. So nothing really you did wrong there. Individually, I think it was just a team effort of just not really regrouping and getting things going. Of course, that goes back to like not being able to have team comms, as you said. One thing I will say in that situation is if that's the case, just try to be the one to lead the position and back. Like fully, like don't just sit there, like bring the position all the way back, because sometimes, and this can happen when you ever get into a situation, chat, where you spend so much time trying to save somebody for about 10 to 15 seconds that by the time that they finally get them down, you could have just they could have just like respawned in that amount of time, and then you would have been fine. So sometimes it's okay to just be like, we need to reset. Like we need to back up. And if somebody chooses to stagger themselves there, like we just need to regroup. And the only way we're going to regroup is by being in spawn and regrouping together. So sometimes you got to kind of lead that charge of like, we're getting out of here. And if your teammates choose to just like extend that when it's like a 2v5, 3v5, what is Lucio doing? Lucio's just getting some stretches in before the team fight. So anyway, let's see what happens next. Here we go. Yep, that's called your teammates just got rolled. Not much you can do about that one. Oh, also the chat for gold, the aim's been pretty solid. I gotta say. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like it's been pretty solid for being in gold. This is a gold game. What do you do against 5 stacks as solo? Ask them what their favorite bread is to distract them. Because maybe what you can do is, because it's going to be a little bit more difficult, maybe you break up their team chemistry by asking what their favorite bread is. One of them finds out they don't like their favorite flavor of bread. They get into an argument, and you end up winning. Also, great take here by your team. Effectively just going for map control. Perks seem fine. Yeah, good take. So you have your ultimate in 10%. So you're gonna want to angle yourself. Yeah, I mean, dude, chat. I gotta be real. Like the way that the Juno plays is so smart. You notice how? And I want to point this out. This is gold. This is gold. So this is like, you notice how the Juno is constantly trying to stay over to the wall. This is where I think the Lucio lags out. By the way, chat. So if you're wondering, this was called. I think the two people lag out in this game. So I think we're about to see 2 people lag out. But the point I'm being, see how the Juno's like holding the corner rather than wide peeking out here for free kills. So many times people just wide peek this. This is great positioning. Now, obviously that could change, but we'll see. Right? As I say that, right over to the cross. This goes back to the Pathin. Be careful of your Pathin. It was great until it wasn't. The Pathin was great until it wasn't. Which means it's just like next time, try to not fly in the middle of the open. You were fine, but I want you to get out of the habit of that. So, at this point, you're down in numbers, so I understand the way that you played that right there. You were just down in numbers. It is what it is, right? But like this is, to give you an idea, this is a great first push. This means that there's 2 team fights that you need to have because of the role playing time towards the end of it. Okay. Let's see what happens on attack or defense. You're on Lifeweaver. So Lifeweaver's solid here. We'll see, I almost want to see your approach on Lifeweaver. So, all right, pedals out. Good job. To submit a video on my Discord, and then, yeah, go from there. All right, healing up. So far, so good. Now, one thing I want to point on Lifeweaver here, I really want you to, like, understand that when you pull somebody, you need to think about where you're pulling them to. And one concern I have here is that when you play this spot specifically, if you pull them here and they're being aggressive, you can kill your teammates. So I do want you to think about playing more to a safer spot as Lifeweaver, to where you're pulling your teammates to safety, not pulling them to survive, but also be right next to where they're at. Does that make sense? So I just want, maybe next time, approach a different position here. Of course, we can see what happens and it's all hindsight, but I do think about pulling people back in that way. So, yeah. Yep. Because even if you pull them here, you're going to pull them into this spot, which means you're going to have to do an immediate rotation out. You're going to be stuck in the same issue you had last time here. And this goes back to what I was saying. Like, look at what's had to happen now, chat. I'm glad it all happened the way that it did. See? I'm glad it happened in the way that it did, because this is exactly what's going to happen, right? If you pull them back to here, while it is technically an off angle, right, this just isn't a safe spot for your teammates. And this kind of goes with Lifeweaver in general. Listen, you got to position yourself in a spot that when you pull your teammate, unless it's a set play. Of course, if the communication here was like, that your teammate types you, hey, pull me over here so I can get an off angle, that's a different story, right? That's your teammate making the choice. But I do think playing a little bit safer further back and having more vision of what you can do here would be better than pulling them to a spot like that. Again, it could be all hindsight if you're working with somebody on things that you don't go that way, but yeah, just wanted to point that out. Instead, obviously, the Bastion goes down, and now you're just down in the numbers. You don't need to die on point here. I actually would, just a little bit of a note here. It's okay to back out at that point. You don't need to run back to the point. Just reset. Get out. Obviously, if you're closer to the point there, I say go for it, but I think you were going to be able to be fine. But it's all hindsight. You were fine. You spawned up in time, so you're good. For this one, it's just going to come down to winning this last team fight. Just to reiterate to people here, okay, chat, it's okay to wait here for a while. You do not have to engage at the doorways. You have one singular team fight. Take the team fight in an advantageous spot for you. There's the Lucio lagging out, which means that now it's going to be a 4v4. I think the other team had someone lag out too. That pull was fine right there. Nice pull. Good job healing your teammate, keeping him up. Everything's good. Everybody lagged out there, but it was still a one-on-one there. I mean, and there you go. Yeah, dude, like, so just to kind of pause here for a second, chat. I actually felt like this was a good game. Like, I really actually feel that you can climb. So the bit of advice I'm going to give here is I want you to work on your pathing. And again, just to reiterate what that means, stop when you rotate to go somewhere to save somebody, you kind of lose track of all of your good positioning. Don't put yourself in a bad spot to heal your teammate in a bad spot, okay? That's usually what gets both of you killed there. Put yourself at an angle to be able to help your teammate and assist them. But if they're out of position, they're out of position, right? Of course, that's on Juno. If you're on Lifeweaver, you can play that and pull them. But just don't go out of your way to get like one shot, right? Because I think sometimes that just gets you killed, and then it's like you're like, well, I could have played here and that would have been a better spot. Another thing I saw just with your speed rings, remember, it's to engage or disengage out. Don't really kind of use it in that middle neutral. Overall, though, kind of back to what you said about you feel like there's a ceiling because of like some of these things. I actually believe that you played this fairly well. I think you can climb, and I think if you stay consistent, work on some of these little things, it's going to go really well. One last bit of advice, and this kind of just goes with something I noticed with having no sound. Your positioning, try to give yourself more vision of everything. I think some like the really close positioning sometimes will kind of get you stuck if they get behind you. So I want you to kind of use a vision where you kind of see them in like a cone effect in front of you, and that could be pretty helpful. And that's not bad positioning either, just so you know. Like that is good positioning to have in the game, and there's different approaches to it. That's a good one to do, and I think that will help you a lot. But overall, that was a solid game. That was a good job, and I think you can climb, seriously. Of course, per usual, if anybody has any other things they saw, so be it. But yeah, I think you can climb. I think you can get out of gold. You got this. You absolutely got this. If you like the video, make sure to hit the like button. Leave a comment. All that helps. You want to submit your own. My Discord's where to do that. We also record these live on stream. I haven't used that one in a while. But anyway, I don't know. My Discord's where everything is. And outside of that, we're going to have another one pop up here. Click it. It's like a box right there. It's a good one. So with that being said, hope you all have an amazing day/night.